Now, as you're waking up, the results of a New York Times Siena College poll are showing that more than half of all registered voters see the mainstream media as a threat to democracy in the United States.
Americans are extremely more polarized, and polling continuously shows that. Our population gets news from vastly different sources. We don't agree on what the facts are.
Joining me live for a closer look at that New York Times Siena College poll is Dre Clark. Good morning, Dre.
Let's take a look at these poll numbers together here. According to this poll conducted of registered voters conducted by the New York Times and Siena College, 59% of voters see the media as a threat to democracy. 25% consider the threat to be minor, and the remaining 15% see no threat at all. Now, this is also very interesting and telling according to the poll. 87% of voters who supported former President Donald Trump in 2020, they view the media as a threat, while 33% of President Biden supporters and voters say the same thing. Now, the New York Times also noting that 14% of voters say political views reveal a lot about a person's character, whether they're a good person or a bad person. But 34% poll said it doesn't mean anything at all. Also, the poll revealing that nearly 1 in 5 political disagreements have hurt relationships among family members and friends.
None of these polls are surprising. I mean, what's surprising actually is that we're getting to a place where people are answering these polls honestly. You know, the silent majority, it seems, has realized that silence didn't help. You know, silence is how we ended up with the current insanity that we have. But, you know, here's why people are waking up. It's simple. I mean, they see Joe Biden, they see him with their own eyes, and they know that the man can barely form thoughts. And they also see Donald Trump, and whether they love the guy or hate the guy, they can actually see that he's got a handle on what is going on. He can actually communicate it. He's got a handle on what the causes are and hopefully what we can do to fix it. But they don't believe the government gaslight that he's just as old and just as goofy as Joe.
Yeah, actually, my tax policy, they created the greatest, strongest economy in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. We had the strongest economy that we've ever had by far. And all Biden did was pick up on it, but he ruined it because he screwed up energy so badly that inflation went crazy. And now inflation's through the roof. They can't lower interest rates because if they do, you're going to drive up inflation to levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have among the highest inflation we've ever had. We've never had inflation like this, and it's sticking. It's not going down at all. Where bacon and food products are costing double and triple what they were just a few years ago, where gasoline energy is way up and going up. If you notice over the last couple of weeks, gasoline and just fuel oil generally, but gasoline has gone way up.
People see this, man, and they hear the nonsense that the Democrats and their partners in the media have tried to convince them of. You know, they hear powerful elites tell them every single day that nothing has ever been better, that they have never been better. But people know that that's just not right. That's not correct. You know, the left, they believe so strongly in their ability to gaslight Americans on the economy that they literally named it after the president. And now there's no going back from that. They have no choice but to gaslight even harder.
But 2/3 of voters think the economy was better under President Trump.
Well, that's just not the case. And we have to do a better job of laying out the facts that the economy has dramatically improved under the leadership of President Joe Biden.
But if those are the facts, why don't voters believe it? Is that a communication problem?
Voters understand that more needs to be done, that there are challenges that remain.
Dude, I mean, just listen to freaking Hakeem Jeffries, man. Listen to what these people think the American people will actually believe. He says that anyone who thinks the economy is struggling, he says they're not struggling themselves. They just don't know the facts. You're not having a hard time. You just don't know the facts. You don't know how good you have it. He says that the economy has improved dramatically under Joe Biden's leadership and that the only reason the voters aren't happy is because they know that more needs to be done. I mean, how goofy is that? What these propaganda peddlers, people like Jeffries, what they expect people to do is look at all of Trump's 4 years, look at everything before right now in the snapshot of a pandemic. They want you to remember only a time when people were forced out of their businesses and into their homes, and they expect you to see the world as some sort of binary. It's the only thing they want you to see as a binary. between Trump COVID and Joe Biden, the most prolific jobs creator the world has ever seen. And that's just not going to work.